After spending 5 incredible days exploring Michigan's Upper Peninsula, it was time to head south and explore a few more iconic destinations to wrap up my annual fall road trip. Michigan's Lower Peninsula is home to Michigan State Route 22 as well as M119, which is also known as the Tunnel of Trees. These routes are considered to be some of the most scenic drives in the state, especially on a motorcycle. From iconic restaurants to scenic views of Lake Michigan and even hidden gem detours, I'm going to do my best to see and share as much of it as possible over the next 2 days. Good morning from Michigan. I'm officially in the Lower Peninsula after spending about 5.5, 6-ish days in the Upper Peninsula, which was incredible, by the way. I just had so much fun in the UP, and I'm so glad that I finally crossed that off my bucket list. And I honestly can't wait to come back because there's still so much to see, eat, and do up there. But I'm officially in the Lower Peninsula for the next day. Essentially, I'll have all day today and then a little bit of tomorrow morning before I have to actually hit the road and get out of Michigan. But I'm excited because today we're going to cross off the Tunnel of Trees. I've been wanting to ride this road for at least 10 years now, and it's considered Michigan's best scenic drive, which that says a lot because I've seen a lot of really incredible stuff over the last few days up in the UP. So I'm interested to see how the Tunnel of Trees compares to that. And then I'll also be taking Michigan 22 south through Traverse City and down to Sleeping Bear Dunes. So there's a lot to see today. But I did decide to camp here at Wilderness State Park. It's pretty close to the Mackinac Bridge. It is a really popular state park if you're here on a weekend, and of course if you're here in the middle of the summer, which is crazy because I've also heard there's tons of bugs here in the summer. So coming here in the summer isn't like it is in the fall because right now there are no bugs. There's no flies, there's no mosquitoes, there's no nothing, which is so awesome, which is why I have this all open right now. This area also has some of the darkest skies in the country, and as soon as the sun went down last night and before the moon came up, because the moon is pretty full right now, I was able to see the entire Milky Way for about 30-45 minutes, and then clouds rolled in, and then the moon came up, and then it was just gone. But it was so cool. I could also see Comet Atlas last night, and that was awesome. I was so stoked to see it in the Keweenaw Peninsula, but to see it again out here was very, very cool. Yeah, there's just so much to see in Michigan, and this area is so beautiful. But waking up on the shores of Lake Superior and going to sleep with the sounds of little baby crashing waves on the beach was awesome. Just the icing on the cake. I think it's time for me to enjoy this a little bit and get my stuff packed up, and then we will hit the road and get going through Michigan. Well, I'm officially at the top of the Tunnel of Trees, which is the start of the Tunnel of Trees if you're starting from the north end. So I'm starting in Cross Village this morning. It's almost afternoon, actually. It's almost 11 o'clock. I didn't end up leaving that campsite till 10:30. But it was just so enjoyable. I couldn't help myself. But I'm on no real time constraints other than trying to find a place to stop for the night by 6 p.m. But anyway, this is where the Tunnel of Trees trek technically starts if you're going to go south from here. And I came here last night because there's a really famous restaurant here. There's only a couple places to eat. There's a brewing spot right around the corner. And then there's also the famous Legs Inn right here across the street. It's a Polish restaurant and it's been here forever. It's been considered like the most iconic restaurant in Michigan. And I had to come here yesterday because they closed for the season yesterday. So one of the big reasons that I couldn't push my Upper Peninsula trip back any further and add days to it was because I had to come try this place out before they closed for the season, because it's just something you have to do, I feel, when you're in this area. And I've really never been to this area before, and I don't know when I'm going to be back. So I felt like that was something I had to do on this trip. But I went ahead and crossed that off the list last night. I had some kind of like sampler platter. Then I can't pronounce anything other than the kielbasa that was on the plate. There was also this like cabbage roll it was kind of like a Polish meatloaf, I feel. It was wrapped in cabbage, but then there was meat inside, and then I had some kind of like beef stew. It was all really good, but I can't pronounce any of it. But since I've already eaten here, and that was yesterday, there's a couple other food spots on the Tunnel of Trees that I want to check out today.
The Tunnel of Trees stretches 20 miles from Cross Village to Petoskey, hugging the cliffs above Lake Michigan. It's been called Michigan's most scenic drive and is one of the top leaf-peeping destinations in the state during the fall for obvious reasons, and in the summers, it's a must for motorcyclists as the golden canopy that you see in this footage is vibrantly green. The roadway is pretty narrow, but easily doable on a motorcycle without worrying about oncoming traffic. With the route only being 20 miles long, there aren't too many places to stop at along the route. But if you're a fan of chicken pot pie, which all of you know I am, then you have to stop at the Good Heart General Store.
Hi! I don't have any food for you. Well, I just got to my first stop along the tunnel, which is the Good Heart General Store, and I originally planned to eat here, but they actually don't have their kitchen open on Mondays, so that was my bad for not looking further into that. Oh my goodness, I don't know whose dog this is, but it really wants my attention right now. I think it lives in the house behind me. It's really soft and really nice. But because the kitchen wasn't open, I did grab a piece of cheesecake from inside because I am hungry and I just want something to eat, and they had it available. And it is like a general store, so there are a couple other things in there you can get. And then they did have a couple of cookies, and they had snickerdoodle, so I just figured, why not? So, that is a good snickerdoodle cookie. When I got here, there was like 30 Jeeps pulling up, and it's all chicks driving them, which was pretty cool. But that basically meant that this place got so busy so fast, and it's kind of a zoo now, so I think it's time to move on. It's very obvious the later in the day that you wait to go through the Tunnel of Trees during the fall, the more people that are going to be on the road and just the crazier it is. I had heard stories that it can be a little busy out here during the fall and that the traffic can be a little bad, especially on the weekends, which is one of the reasons why I tried to not go through Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, it's proving that even during the peak colors, even on a Monday, it's still super, super busy. But since I couldn't get a chicken pot pie at the Good Heart General Store like I had planned, I decided to stop here at Trillium Woods Coffee, which is just a few miles down from the Good Heart General Store, to grab a coffee because I haven't had any caffeine today. The coffee is really good though, so that's a plus. So I just got to Traverse City. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours from the Tunnel of Trees. Wow, there's so much traffic. Like so much traffic, which is kind of a bummer, but at the same time I get it because it is pretty. Like I totally understand why people go there, but I think even though it's beautiful in the fall, I think maybe going in the summertime on a weekday is definitely like the better rule of thumb there. But I can say I finally crossed it off the list, so there's that. I decided to come all the way to Traverse City to eat, mainly because I didn't want to stop in Petoskey or this other town called Charlevoix. I probably said that wrong, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you see it on a map or if you're local. Honestly, those towns felt a little too ritzy for me. That entire area felt like it was designed for rich people, is the easiest way to put it, and I'm not rich people. It reminds me a lot of like a summer beach town, like out on the East Coast or something. It's just very bougie, and even like you kind of look around at the people that are around there, and it just seems to be bougie people, and I am not that. So I decided to just keep on going. I knew there was a bunch of food spots down here in Traverse City, and let me tell y'all, having been in the UP for the past week, I've seen more traffic today and people today than I have for the last week of travel combined. There's just so much more people and population down here, and it's definitely like a culture shock to get used to being around this many people again. But I'm finally somewhere with food, and I saw this spot on Google Maps called Mama Lou's, and I'm in the mood for tacos, so we're gonna go inside and grab some food. Of course, after making my comment about there being so many people out here, as soon as I walked into Mama Lou's, it got absolutely crowded within a couple of minutes. So I just decided to slam my tacos and get out of there as quickly as possible because I'm just ready to ride and be away from people and honestly go set up my camp for the evening. Quick and easy food stop, and back on the road we go. And now I'm gonna start riding Michigan 22. This route's like 120-ish miles long, and it goes around Lake Michigan a little bit. I'm not gonna ride the whole thing today, but I am gonna ride part of it before I go set camp up for the night. So let's go. I am camping tonight at the DH Day Campground. It's part of Sleeping Bear National Lakeshore. There's a couple different campgrounds here that you can stay at. This is one of their more like rustic bare bones ones. It's $10 a night right now to camp here, and because I'm technically like in like this weird shoulder season, I guess it's their slow season before they officially close for the year. All the sites are first come, first served. So I decided to kind of roll the dice and see if I could get a site here. And there were plenty of them available. Plus it's a Monday. So I figured, knowing how Wilderness State Park was last night, this would probably be very similar. $10 a night, can't really beat it because I was gonna pay $100, maybe $120 for a hotel. So this worked out very well. Michigan Route 22 is gorgeous. I'm gonna do the rest of it tomorrow. I will say that if you're gonna do it, definitely don't skip the top part, which is what I almost did. And then I asked one of the people at Mama Lou's if I should do it, and they were like, oh, it's gorgeous up there. Definitely go up to that peninsula area. They didn't call it a peninsula, but that's kind of what it looks like on a map. But yeah, once you leave Traverse City and head north on 22, you follow the bay all the way up to Northport, which is gorgeous. You're right on the water. And then once you kind of cut over back to Lake Michigan, you go through a bunch of kind of like rolling hills. You go past apple orchards. I saw a bunch of pumpkins everywhere, vineyards, some old historic farm like houses and stuff. It's really cool. The leaf peeping's definitely been enjoyable, but there's a lot of stuff along that route that I think is worth seeing. I saw a bunch of restaurants that I'm curious about. Sutton Bay, I saw a bunch of motorcycles, so there must be something there that people like to go to. But yeah, overall, it was really enjoyable, and I'm stoked to finish the ride up tomorrow. But for now, I think I'm gonna enjoy camp, and I will see y'all in the morning. Good morning and welcome to the final day of my like 7.5, 8-day road trip through Michigan. It's been great. I'm tired. I've been wearing the same smart wool base layers pretty much for the last week. To be fair, they have done their job well. I'm not stinky and they kept me really warm, but I'm very much so ready to do some laundry, and also since I've been camping for the last 3 nights, I'm definitely ready to take a hot shower tonight. So before I get to leave this area and do 400 miles to my next destination, which I won't be filming, and this is pretty much one of the last videos I'm actually going to be filming for 2024. I have a lot of videos to catch up on editing. I still have videos from 2022 I haven't edited yet. I have a couple more things I want to see. I'm not going to be able to see everything in Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore on this trip, but there are a couple things I want to do, and the first one is going to be the Stocking Pierce Scenic Drive. It's like a 7.5 mile scenic drive through the lakeshore, and I've heard it's gorgeous during the fall. So fingers crossed that I get over there early enough today, and it's before all of the other people that are leaf peeping like myself do, because I made that mistake yesterday on the tunnel of trees, and now I'm traumatized. So let me go ahead and break this tent down, get everything packed up on the bike, and we'll get going.
The Pierce Stocking Scenic Drive was the #1 thing I wanted to stop and see on Michigan Route 22, and I think this footage does a good job explaining why. It's a one-way road that is completely engulfed with foliage, and the colors were insane. It was probably some of the best leaf peeping I did on my entire trip to Michigan. There are 12 different things to stop and see along the scenic drive, but if you only have time to stop for one, I'd recommend stopping at the Lake Michigan overlook. If you're up for the challenge, you can climb down to the lake and back up to the top, but it's a pretty steep climb. I saved that adventure for a future trip.
This is way cooler than Tunnel of Trees. I would rather ride this 5 times than Tunnel of Trees once. Especially this time of year. This is just incredible. This has been so cool, and I'm, kind of sad to see the trip come to an end. But with that being said, I've got, I don't know, probably another 30, 40, 50 miles left of Route 22. So let's get back on the road, grab some food, and get this Michigan trip wrapped up. Michigan. Michigan. Well, I'm officially done riding 3 more Michigan scenic byways, and man, honestly, I think the Tunnel of Trees was the most underwhelming of everything I've ridden in Michigan over this last week. Don't get me wrong, like, it's pretty and it's definitely a bucket list ride, and I'm so glad I finally got to do it, but I think out of everything else I've ridden through the Upper Peninsula, as well as Michigan 22 and then Pierce Stocking Scenic Drive today, it definitely wasn't the best one, but it was beautiful. But man, Michigan 22, that is definitely a good one to ride, especially in the fall. I would highly recommend checking it out, and then doing a little side trip over to the Pierce Stocking Scenic Drive. Totally worth it. I decided I needed to stop and have one last meal, and ironically, I had seen this place on social media the other day. I'm in Manistee right now, and this place is called The Outsider, and they have all kinds of different burgers, and I was just in the mood for a good burger, something filling to get me down the road, because now I have like a 400-mile ride day after this. So check out this freaking burger I got. I got their Outsider burger, which is like a double smash burger, and I got some of their like messy fries with it, because
why not? There's no way I'm gonna be able to eat all this, but I figured this is my last foodie stop for this trip, so might as well go all out and try some stuff here. But look at this burger, y'all. This thing looks so good. Let's go ahead and dig into this monster of a burger. Honestly, just having vegetables on the burger already makes it amazing. That thing didn't stand a chance. It was so good, and I was so hungry. I would totally come back here if I was in the area. It is time for me to get back on the road. I've got about 350 more miles I got to ride today, and it's time to just turn the camera off and rip. But hopefully you guys found some things to do in this area of Michigan. I genuinely have enjoyed the last 7-8 days, however many days it's been that I've been up here. It's just been incredible, and I would totally come back to this area, and I definitely will at some point in the future, whether it's in the summer or maybe another fall trip. I would totally come back. I definitely think that this area, or really Michigan in general, is kind of just like underrated for riding, honestly. I genuinely enjoyed the last few days of riding. Even though I had a little freak out with the amount of people that I encountered yesterday, I did enjoy all of it. But until the next one, I'll see you on the road, because I really got to get on the road right now, so. Later, y'all.